Hey guys, welcome to the Movie Champ Show. This is episode number 11.
Mm-hmm.
So, the 10th episode was last week. It's not even being recognized as an episode, at least by myself.
So this is the true 10th episode in his mind.
Yeah, I consider this one maybe an episode number 10, because unless this one is an absolute travesty, then we probably won't have a show anymore.
Yeah, I had to do a call-in last week due to work reasons, but
Yes.
it is what it is.
All right, guys. So on today's episode, we have quite a bit of interesting movie news.
Quite a bit indeed.
We're going to talk about a couple trailers. Actually, there's mostly teasers this week. Not a lot of actual trailers. And then we're going to review the Justice League, a spoiler-free review of the Justice League.
Yes.
After we're done with this show, we're going to do record our spoiler review, and we'll have that up shortly afterwards.
Yeah, hint on the word spoiler review. So if you haven't seen it and you watch the video, then get mad with us.
Right.
That's your fault.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, it's been a fun week. I had a lot of interesting things happen this week. So we're actually going to have we're going to go ahead and announce this now. Next week, because it's a holiday, and we all want to spend time with our families, and
some of us have jobs.
And some of us have jobs that have to work on Friday. So there will be no episode this next week.
Next week.
We'll have to wait. Well, I'll try to do something.
We'll have something uploaded, but it won't be an episode of the show.
Right. Yeah, I'll try to come up with something, but it won't be like you said, an episode of the Movie Champ Show. Zach's not here, obviously. He's doing work.
Work things. They come up.
Yep. So won't be seeing him today. We'll probably see him today. He'll be here sometime tonight. He's just not here right now. Anyways, let's go ahead and we'll get into this news.
Let's get started.
All right. So for our first story of the day, I don't know why this doesn't have. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead right here. So this is James Franco. Might be cast as a character Multiple Man in the X-Men movie, in an X-Men movie. So here's the story here. Fox is developing a film vehicle for James Franco to play the Marvel Comics character Multiple Man, with Wonder Woman scribe Alan Heinsberg writing the script, and Simon Kinberg and his genre films producing, along with Franco and Ramona Films. The shingle that Franco runs with brother Dave Franco and Vincent Jove. I guess that's how you say his name. Anyways, I am absolutely unfamiliar with this character or this anything.
Multiple Man was always a character that actually was. They never really fleshed him out too much. He just kind of like they would just kind of like fold into other groups, other X groups as they were formed. He was like one of the older X-Men movies.
Really?
But he was like had a cameo appearance, but everybody recognized that since he was making copies of himself, that was Multiple Man.
I had heard that he discovered his power when he wasn't breathing when he was born, and the doctor hit him to cause him to breathe, and I guess every time he hit him, he was multiplying after that. That's what I read. That's about as far as the Multiple Man.
See, this is what happens when
information I got into.
This is what happens when a studio owns a comic book property, and they're just looking to mine every last bit out of it. See, this is separate. See, Fox is doing what DC did back in the 90s with their stuff, and then when you wound up with movies like Steel.
Ooh. I'm hopeful. Fox does a pretty good job. Or no, they do an okay job. They're only doing okay on some of their X-Men stuff.
The X-Men stuff is okay when given to the right people.
I mean, I'll give them credit. They're doing pretty good everything after
First Class.
After First Class, and then I'm trying to think the Fantastic Four aside.
Yeah, they have not yet tackled Fantastic Four yet, so don't give them no credit on Fantastic Four at all.
Right. So yeah, but if with James Franco attached to it, they have my interest.
It might work. It's just the fact that you had to tell me what angle you're coming at it with. Is it a comedy? Is it a what genre are you going for a multiple man movie?
Right. So
because if I remember correctly, he's kind of a wisecracker too.
Right.
So he's kind of like a comedy movie would be perfect for a character like Multiple Man. You can't take Multiple Man and make it a drama. You can't do that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, this is the kind of news that I needed to actually become interested. Start with the acting, I guess. I mean, if it could have been a director too, but since it's an unfamiliar character, at least we know sort of what we might be getting into with James Franco attached to it. So yeah, I'm interested because I mean, if they just said Simon Kinberg, like no surprise there. So he's attached to every Fox movie that they put out. So, anyways, let's move on to our next story here.
This is an interesting one. The next one.
Yes. So, and that is Sony is going to distribute Quentin Tarantino's Manson movie. Here's the story there. So, Deadline reports. Dang, I lost it. Okay, Deadline reports. I'm told Tarantino sparked to Sony head Tom Rothman's deep knowledge of film history. Few can hang with Tarantino in that regard, but Rothman held his own, and the studio chased this one hard. Okay then, it also probably makes good business sense, since Sony has revamped its worldwide distribution, and Tarantino approved the marketing campaign presented by Josh Greenstein and his team. So it's a very interesting.
Very interesting because almost every Quentin Tarantino movie been
either Miramax or Weinstein Company.
Exactly. Yes.
So he's moved away from the Weinstein Company, and we talked about this a couple episodes ago about how strict his guidelines were with the studios that were interested in picking up this film. So and I'm hearing, or I've read that this isn't going to be such a focused on Manson film. I mean, as much as like the I don't want to say the name of the movie on here, but the other Quentin Tarantino movie with Hitler, how little Hitler was in that movie. That's about how much we're going to have with Charles Manson.
In the Inglorious Sturds.
Yes, the B words.
Yes. Trying to keep it clean on this show.
Right. So, there how little So it's going to be focused, I guess, on whoever. You heard Tom Cruise is actually in talks for this movie too. So you got Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and who's the third one? It's Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that would. Ooh.
So this is shaping up to be a very interesting cast, and I can actually, what I'm thinking in my head, I can see Tom Cruise playing Charles Manson. And if he does play Charles Manson, this will be like a return to form to like '90s Tom Cruise, where he was doing those Academy Award worthy films.
Yeah, those films. Yeah, those weird films like Tom Cruise is in this, and it's actually good. All right.
Like Magnolia and Eyes Wide Shut, and those movies like that, where he was working for Oscars, and then he became the action hero star after he started doing the Mission Impossible movies. So yeah, I'm actually, just hearing Tom Cruise, it might be attached to something, especially after seeing American Made. That was sort of a return to form. I mean, he was still playing the Tom Cruise character, but I like to see Tom Cruise acting in somebody else's movie, where it's not a Tom Cruise movie.
This ain't a Tom Cruise joint. It's actually someone else's thing.
Right. So he's actually going to have to actually listen to a director, because that's how Quentin Tarantino works. So if we can get Tom Cruise in here and to listen and actually not make this about himself. I mean, I'd be interested in seeing if this was about himself, if he was actually performing to that, I don't know, to a level that we haven't seen yet.
I'm interested in it too. Tarantino movies are kind of like hit and miss for me, because he do some great things, but then they be like, okay, but the violence is like way too out there for me. So I'm interested to see where they go with a Manson movie. Will this be more violent or more dramatic.
Yeah, because I mean, his last one, Hateful Eight,
Mm-hmm.
that actually took me about 3 times to get through that movie. I enjoyed it once I finally got through it, but it was kind of slow paced for me. But then you were right; the violence at the end was very much out there. So yeah, but either way, that's the only one that I've ever actually felt that with. Everything else is usually well paced. But yeah, this everything about this is interesting, especially for Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Sony is going in the right direction for me. They, like I don't know if I mentioned this on the show yet, but I mean last year they were thinking about selling Sony. At least their film
division.
Film division.
Yeah,
they were planning on trying to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure can't remember who the company was, but they were waiting until to see how Spider-Man: Homecoming did, because that was like their last ditch effort for them becoming remaining a film distribution company. So they hit it out of the park with that.
Yes,
they've done a couple this year that have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of them off the top of my head, but I remember seeing Sony attached to them. It's like, oh wow, this is a Sony movie. I mean, didn't. What did we see recently? We saw something recently together that was a Sony movie. That was really good. I don't remember what it was. But
Flatliners.
Not Flatliners, no.
No,
they still got that.
They still got some misses in the can.
Yeah.
Don't get it. Don't get it twisted.
I shouldn't give them too much credit though.
Don't give them too much, because they did make Flatliners, and that was trash.
But yeah, this is the first time in a while that Sony's done anything. I think Academy Award level. This has to be believed. This has to be believed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
with that kind of casting, it should garner some attention.
The kind of hoops that they're jumping through, this better be something good.
Oh yeah, that's what they're telling him.
Yes, this better be worth the money, Tarantino, because Hateful Eight did not do well in the box office either. Oh man. Okay, so let's move on to our another interesting story here. Affleck is out, or may be out as Batman. Once out as Batman anyway. But Jake Gyllenhaal might be in. Let's see how that goes. Anyways, new rumors state that Jake Gyllenhaal might replace Ben Affleck as Batman in the upcoming DC films. Affleck has stated his desire to make a cool exit from playing the character, and if he does so before the Batman movie pundit John Campea says director Matt Reeves has his eyes set on Jake Gyllenhaal as his first pick to don the cape and cowl. What do you think about this news?
I don't know how I feel about this news. The only way this news will work is if he isn't Bruce.
Really?
If he is not Bruce Wayne.
Right. Well, if they can plan to continue the DCEU.
So that would mean one thing. He would have to show up somewhere as Damian.
Damian? Who's Damian?
Oh, that's Bruce Wayne's son.
Oh, I've seen the son of Batman. Is that who that was in there?
Yeah, that was him and Talia al Ghul's son.
Oh.
So if you by bringing him in, you also introduce a reimagined Ra's al Ghul, and then the Lazarus Pits and all that come with it as well. Which in turn you can actually do the Red Hood story then.
Man, that sounds kind of complicated.
No, not really. If just by introducing Damian Wayne opens the door to all that.
Right.
Because all you would have to do is the next movie in between the Batman, which is what they're calling it, and between Justice League that just came out and the Batman, all you have to introduce is Damian Wayne somewhere down the line.
Right.
And by introducing Damian Wayne, you've already planted Talia, Roz, and the Lazarus Pits, because all of those things are like a package deal. And then by having the Lazarus Pit, you can do a death in the family properly, or by having all those elements there, you can just bring in Red Hood too, because if in the story of Death in the Family, Joker beats Robin to death, which was then Jason Todd.
Right.
And then years later, Jason Todd comes back in Gotham and starts becoming a murderous vigilante. Not exactly a murderous vigilante, but he becomes a criminal who controls what kind of crime they get into.
Right.
So that will be interesting to see as well, that they do Under the Red Hood as well. And then they do like a flashback story of Under the Red Hood, then you can do Damian and all that. So if they do the Jake Gyllenhaal thing, that would mean he would be too young to play Bruce again, and then still have the same storyline. So he would have to be Damian.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping for the what was it? The Flashpoint storyline.
Well, if they do the Flashpoint storyline, Bruce would be dead.
Right. I mean,
and then we would have Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman.
yeah. So that's what I wanted. That's more.
And with the Flashpoint, and you still would get that because Flashpoint takes place in an alternate universe,
Right.
where you could have your whole Flashpoint movie, and then end the Flashpoint movie, and then it goes back to normal in a way.
Right. And I should point out that there's been also some stories about this with Jake Gyllenhaal where this was just like one conversation that had happened a while ago. So nothing had, there hasn't been a lot of follow-up from that conversation, I guess, with Matt Reeves and Gyllenhaal. So this might just be
speculation and rumor.
I mean, it's a true rumor.
It's a statement, but it's
a
not
statement,
a, but it's not
yeah,
a statement
it's
set
not
in stone.
anything official that's set in stone.
I understand.
It's just, I guess, something that has been known around town, around the industry, and they're just choosing now to announce that had happened.
So yeah,
so they've talked to a couple other actors too, but they're still waiting to see how Justice League was going to go. To see, but Affleck has made this statement now that he is trying to find a way to exit the franchise.
Yeah, because what they're saying that he's been Batman about 20 years in the DCEU.
Right.
So it would be fair the reason that he's met Talia, but then you would have to explain away where Damian has been.
Right.
Because for a long time, Damian was a Robin before he became a Batman.
So, and there would be no way for this story, even with the Flashpoint story, for this to work where Jake Gyllenhaal was the dad. Technically, I don't think.
No, there would be no way for it to work because the whole point of the story was that night when Joe Chill shot his parents, it changed where Joe Chill shot Bruce, so since Bruce died as a child, Jeffrey Dean Morgan went the way he went down the Batman path but went differently.
Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne. Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan played Thomas Wayne in Batman vs. Superman.
I think that was a choice they did on purpose because they had Flashpoint in mind.
Yeah, it was their get out of jail free card for later on.
It's not necessarily get out of jail free card. It's just an excuse to have it's a way to them make a Batman movie where none of the stakes matter at the end.
True.
There's a way they could do all this. They can kind of destroy the world they just built, but then have it not matter, but still tell a great story that still has weight on one character.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like how is a Flashpoint could be their Days of Future Past.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Because that's what I was thinking. Flashpoint is either going to be like Days of Future Past, where it's going to be just in its own story, or this was going to be their reset button in case something bad happened with their other stories.
Yeah, because just like Days of Future Past, Wolverine was the only one that went back in time.
Right.
And noticed, but then when he went forward in time, he was the only one with knowledge of what happened before.
Right.
And Flashpoint's kind of the same way.
Right.
So where Flash goes back, because it all starts with him trying to save his mother from being murdered that fateful night. The fateful night that his dad is locked up for.
Oh, that's Bruce Wayne's way of doing it.
No.
Oh, you're talking about Flash's.
The Flash's mother.
Right.
That he's trying to go back in time to fix that one thing, because that's the whole point of him becoming a cop, trying to prove his father's innocence.
Right.
Because they claim something did kill the Flash's mother, and it turns out to be the Reverse Flash,
right,
who went back in time just to make Barry's life purposely a living hell.
Yeah.
So that was the whole point of Flashpoint, to him going back using the Speed Force to prevent that from happening. And by doing that, changing that one event, sent a ripple that changed everything.
Right.
It's a very good story. The animated version is an okay version of it, but the comic book is just way better.
But yeah, one interesting thing that I did that this actually was announced like several months ago was Billy Crudup's character, the guy that plays his dad in Justice League, is not going to be in the Flash movie anymore. He left. I don't know if it was for scheduling reasons or what. So I'm curious if they're either going to planning on recasting him or just not even going to have. I don't see how they can do that if they're doing it sort of like that or that story at all without Billy Crudup being in it.
I don't remember the father being in the Flashpoint story.
Really? Okay. Well, I mean, I
think.
how do you? I'm just curious how you save the mom without the dad being there.
Because I think in the Flashpoint continuity, I think as a result of that happening, I think they wind up getting a divorce or something.
Oh.
So
okay.
it's something. It's weird.
Yeah, I guess they can work it out.
Yeah, they can. It's. I don't remember all the particulars about that, but I don't remember seeing the Flash's dad anywhere.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but there's someone will probably correct me in the comments if they are, if I am.
All right. So that was a long discussion. We can go ahead and move on to our next story.
Mind if I read this one?
Yes, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Disney's Prince Charming movie lands writer-director Stephen Chbosky.
Chbosky.
Chbosky?
Yeah, Chbosky.
Chbosky, thank you. Stephen Chbosky will re-team with his Wonder producers David Haberman and Todd Lieberman on Disney's live-action feature Prince Charming. Deadline has confirmed Chbosky will write with the opportunity to direct the film. Matt Fogel took the first pass at the script, which is billed as a revamped take on the gentleman characters in Disney's Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The story is told from the point of view of Charming's brother, who never quite lived up to the family standards.
Wow. I'm glad we spent so much time talking about that last story.
I don't know how to feel about this one.
Yes. It sounds interesting.
It sounds almost like if they did it right, it could be like another Enchanted.
Okay, if that's that, then I'm down.
Like a peeling
Enchanted was
back of the tropes and exposing them for what they are.
Right.
That might be pretty funny.
And I'll give Stephen Chbosky credit. He's on a roll as far as with the critics.
Mm-hmm.
His Perks of Being the Wallflower was good. I'm hearing nothing but good things about Wonder.
Yeah.
So,
but the difference between those two movies and Prince Charming is those are like grounded in somewhat reality.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm getting.
So I don't know how he's going to translate that into fantasy.
Yeah, because it's getting pretty hard to do a decent fantasy like this nowadays. All these live, I mean, Cinderella did pretty good, but besides that, Beauty and the Beast was okay. What was the other one that came out?
Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Okay, those are bad. Those are really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking of Into the Woods.
Yeah.
Into the Woods did not do good.
No, it did not.
I mean, it's somehow Meryl Streep still got nominated for an Oscar, but that's because she's
Meryl
Meryl Streep.
That's what she does. She comes in, she acts, she gets an Oscar nod, she leaves.
Right. I totally didn't think it was deserved, but still.
Yeah, it's Meryl Streep. You know what you gonna do?
Yeah. So, anyways,
she's gonna get. They already have her name written down on the card for the post.
Yeah. If they can do it, I mean, this has to be a comedy. There's no way this isn't.
Oh yeah,
a
the way I just read this description, it could only be a comedy. It can't be a drama.
Right. So
if they go the dramatic route, it would be stip.
I'm totally fine if this is kind of like a Princess Bride style comedy or Enchanted style comedy. Enchanted was hilarious. So, yeah, if the comedy works for this, then everything else doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I'm in there laughing, that's all that matters.
That's
and
all
I
really
think
matters
this, and I want to know who's going to be playing these male characters, because that's going to be pretty fun casting, I bet.
I can almost see James Spader being one.
Okay, that's not even close to who I was thinking of playing.
Wait a minute,
Prince.
hold on, time out.
You say James Spader?
Not James Spader. Not James Spader. No, not him. Not Ultron. No, not him.
Okay.
Definitely not him.
It's like, what year is this movie?
I was thinking of the dude who played the dude who was a prince in Enchanted.
Oh, you're talking about James Marsden?
Yeah, him. the dude who was Cyclops in the first 3 X-Men movies.
Yes, James Marsden. Okay, yeah.
I can see him being one of the 3. I just don't know.
If he hadn't already been done a few those Enchanted, I think it would be okay. But I think they might. It's hard for me to think because they have had quite a few of the, like Chris Pine was in Into the Woods. It's hard for me to think of who else might be. I mean, it'd be cool if they cast somebody new, but I'm thinking that they might need to have somebody, some big name in there somewhere, even as a supporting character.
So, but wait, I have a question.
What's up?
Is all going to be one dude playing? So they're trying to say Prince Charming was the same dude in all 3 stories?
Yeah.
So you got to cast one dude.
So, or that they were all brothers anyway. They were
yeah.
all the charming princes.
The Charming brothers.
Yes, and then one of them has not lived up to that family name somehow, I guess. I wonder if it's a nagging queen saying, "Why aren't you married yet?" or something like that.
Oh, probably.
Or he's just, I don't know. This is going to be an interesting story.
It's going to be very interesting.
I can't. Now, at first I wasn't, but now I've talked myself into being interested in this story. Especially with the director. It's going to be something a little different from him. From doing these young, I want to say, well, the first one was sort of a good YA story, and then the other one, Wonder, is a good family story, and this is going to be a little bit different. So, I still have not seen Wonder. I'm actually, now that I'm hearing such good things about it, I really want to see it, because some critics are saying it's the best movie of the year, which I was not expecting.
Same here.
I was thinking it was going to be a little too, like I said this the other day, that it was going to be a little too childish or sweet, or it was going to be one of those ones that are with the cheap pull.
Too saccharine.
Yes, too sappy.
Sappy, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's actually supposedly a really charming and good movie. So I'm gonna go check that out sometime this week, probably. Anyways, let's move on to a less. I mean, it's an interesting story, yes, but it's less than what we just talked about. Okay. Oh, shoot! I gave it away. Anyways, Joe Carnahan to direct Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo thriller Boss Level. Here's something about Boss Level. Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo are in talks to star in Boss Level, an action thriller that Joe Carnahan will direct next year. The premise: every day, a retired Special Forces veteran, Frank Grillo, is trapped in a never-ending loop resulting in his death. In order to stop his endless suffering, he must figure out who is responsible and stop them. Carnahan wrote the script, and I'm assuming he probably wrote this after watching either Happy Death Day or Live Die. Yeah, or what's the other one? There's another one that came out this year. It had Zoe Deutsch in it. What was it called? Right now it's gonna bug me.
Look it up, because I can't think of it.
Zoe Deutsch. It was like an Awesomeness TV or Awesomeness Productions movie. Crap. I think it's like If I... Got it. Okay. It's called Before I Fall.
Okay.
Yeah, Before I Fall. That was another one where the girl gets in like car accident.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
So, I said during Happy Death Day that it was an interesting and sort of unique way of doing the Groundhog Day story. Now it's kind becoming of more annoying now.
Yeah.
Because we're getting another.
This
tomorrow.
One sounds like
Edge of Tomorrow movie.
Sounds like Edge of Tomorrow crossed with Gamer.
Oh, I mean, I'm really happy to see Mel Gibson in anything. Even he was the only thing that made me want to go see Daddy's Home too. And he was the only thing that was almost okay about that movie. And that's an almost okay. But, yeah, I mean, Joe Carnahan, decent. He's a really good director. Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo, really good actors, really good action stars. I see nothing wrong here except for the story. I mean, and the story's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. I as far as the Groundhog Day thing. Even I might be. It might be too much of that happening right now, but still want to see it. I'm still curious.
Yeah, I'm still curious to see what their take on it is.
If it just said Joe Carnahan, then I would say no. I wouldn't be so interested because he's doing like 20 movies right now.
Mm-hmm.
But with I would say Mel Gibson picks great movies. He's a great director. But then again, he did just do Daddy's Home 2.
Yes.
So he's almost taking on anything he can.
Mm-hmm.
I'd still rather see that Lethal Weapon 5 movie.
Oh, yeah.
Over this, but I don't know. I mean, I'll see it. I'm gonna see it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll see anything Mel Gibson's in, but I'm not quite buying it. I guess.
No,
we need a do we like this or do we not like this news thing?
Mm-hmm.
We need to start doing that.
Yes, yes.
Do I like this news? I'm neutral.
Curious about it.
I'm curious, but I'm still not liking it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do like a. Just right on here. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
So, no. I'm not.
Something for the next episode.
Yeah. It's a thumbs down from me.
I'm going to give it a thumbs.
Thumb in the middle.
I mean, it's in the middle. Because it's a plot point we're seeing more frequently. But I'm always intrigued to see what take someone else takes with it.
That's true.
Like, is it exact? Does he have to die? Does the act of death reset it? Is there like a delay? Does he come back to that exact point where he died like a video game, or does he go back a day, or does he go back home to start the day over? You know,
right?
Where does the respawn occur?
Right.
That's always the intriguing part. Where and how the respawn occurs.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious how in the world this happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll be somewhere in the middle. I'm
more towards down.
Yeah, more towards down.
Okay, makes sense.
All right, let's move on to the next story.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Comcast is considering buying 21st Century Fox, at least some parts of it anyways. Let's go ahead and read that story here. Comcast is interested in the same set of assets that Disney approached Fox about earlier this year, sources said. Also of interest to Comcast is acquiring the international assets of Fox, given that the Philadelphia-based company is heavily concentrated in the U.S. And I also should say that Verizon and Sony are also interested in purchasing these same assets of 21st Century Fox. So what do you think about Comcast being interested in these? You're shaking your head no. Okay.
Just sell to Disney already and be done with it.
Yeah.
Disney will probably be the one to do the most with everything that you have.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the show. You were mentioning that Fox owns some parts of Star Wars.
They own even though Disney just recently purchased Lucasfilms and owns the Star Wars and all that comes with it.
Right.
Since Fox actually financed and made Star Wars A New Hope on their own before it was even a thing, before they even launched the franchise, Fox holds the rights to that movie indefinitely.
Wow.
So no matter how many Star Wars movies they make and release on Blu-ray and all this and all like that, 21st Century Fox still holds the rights to A New Hope.
Yeah, is it just A New Hope and not the whole original trilogy?
A New Hope.
Okay.
So that's why every time, even now when you bought the re-releases that Disney put out,
right,
it still has that 20th Century Fox logo at the bottom.
Okay.
Because the first one is still their movie.
Wow. Okay.
That's why even in any re-release you see, if they do anything A New Hope related, they have to give credit to 20th Century Fox because technically it is their movie.
Man. Okay, so and we know that they own the X-Men franchise and Fantastic Four.
Own the comic book own the movie rights.
Movie rights to the X-Men franchise.
Yeah.
And the Fantastic Four and obviously Multiple Man, all that stuff like that. So
yeah.
I know a lot of people would be excited to see Fantastic Four go back to Disney, or go to Disney anyway, because Disney never owned it in the first place. So go to Disney. Or Marvel Studios anyways.
Yeah.
And then New Hope would be cool to go to. So it makes more sense for it to go to Disney than to Comcast, which is Comcast is Universal and a bunch of other things.
Because
and a terrible cable company too.
It would just jumble the film rights even more. I hate when studios make collections of movies, because the rights are all over the place, it's not a complete collection. So it's like for a long, like just recently, I was shocked. I went to Walmart the other day and they had a Child's Play collection,
Right.
and it was truly a complete collection
Oh wow.
because they actually had one through Code of Chucky in the one pack.
Oh wow.
And that shocked me because I'm not much of a horror guy, but the fact that I could actually go out and buy all of the Child's Play movies in one set intrigued me a little bit because I didn't have to go hopping around looking for them all. They were all here.
Right. So I mean, with those types of movies, if they were in Disney's possession, would they still be distributed?
Because there's something else you have to take into account too.
What?
A lot of the Blu-ray versions and re-releases of the Star Wars movies we've been getting
Right.
are the special editions. Fox still has the originals.
Right.
So if they were to buy 20th Century Fox for 21st Century Fox, just like they want to, they would get access to the original cuts as well. So you would actually get a true original cut trilogy.
Okay. And no, a lot of people are worried about like I'm trying to I can't get this thing right now. Like if anything being in Disney's possession, then it's not going to be rated R or anything like that, which isn't completely true.
Because then
Disney did release a couple R-rated movies under their
Touchstone.
Yes.
Yeah, they
So,
have Touchstone. So it's not that hard to believe that they would go other ways with.
They would find a way to get those R-rated properties that you love, like Deadpool.
Yeah.
They'd find a way if they did own 20th Century Fox, I would think.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
They're not totally stupid.
No.
What they would probably do, they would probably keep 20th Century Fox as a studio. It would just be under the Disney umbrella now, and they would just make that yet another R-rated release label for them.
Yeah, there's a movie. I'm trying to think of the most recently. Oh, here it goes. It was Miracle at St. Anna that Spike Lee directed. It was like a war movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the last Disney movies that I know of that was released R-rated.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly enough, I think it was actually released under Disney Studio. Here we go. Production companies. Because there are several production companies in here, but it was distributed by. Here it is. Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment for the DVD and Blu-ray release.
Mm-hmm.
And Walt Disney Studio Motion Pictures for it to be released in Canada. In U.S. it was Touchstone.
Okay.
So
they were confident enough to actually throw the actual full Walt Disney on it, and even though it was R-rated in other countries, but in the U.S. they used that Touchstone label. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So. Yeah, so
Disney,
they're not completely turned off by R-rated movies.
That's why I did their Marvel stuff is TVMA on Netflix.
Right, and I think it would make more sense because we're still talking about if Disney, because we don't care if Comcast buys it.
I don't care if Comcast, Verizon, Sony. I don't care if none of them buy it.
I don't care if they buy it because we want Disney.
We want Disney. We want the mouse to buy Fox.
Yes.
We want the mouse to own. We want the mouse to own the Fox.
Yes, it's a fox hunt.
Yeah, we want a fox hunt, and we want the mouse to win.
Yes. Okay. So, anyways, I think if they were to buy Fox, then they would either leave it as Fox or they would rename it something else.
Yeah, because you also had to take into account they would also get the rights to The Simpsons and all that stuff too.
That's true. Because the only thing that I know the ones that they are definitely leaving out is everything sports related.
Because they don't want to create a monopoly.
Right, and the news. So Fox News and Fox Business and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They would not get any of those. So it would be mostly their film division that they would be owning the rights to.
Mm-hmm. The film and TV division.
Yeah. So yeah. An interesting story. Everybody's going at this thing, and Fox is just leading them on, I guess. I don't know. They are not responding to any of these, this news apparently. So we'll go ahead and move on then.
Speaking of Fox, speaking of Fox and other things, it's trailer talk time.
Yes, time to talk about trailers.
And it's time to getting wet on wet with Deadpool.
Yes. Deadpool teaser was released. Let's see here. You want to read this one?
Yes, I do. the first teaser trailer has dropped for the highly anticipated Deadpool 2. The trailer opens with Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds, dressed in a collared shirt and curly wig over top of the Deadpool suit, spoofing Bob Ross's The Joy of Painting.
Yes.
And what a glorious job this man did.
Yes, this was hilarious. We saw there was a Red Band trailer that was released earlier this week. I think it was like earlier Monday or Tuesday or something this week. Yes, it was. And then when we went and saw the Justice League, we didn't see it together, but we both saw it at separate theaters. But apparently they played the Green Band trailer before the Justice League at the two different theaters that we went to, which was not actually as funny, obviously, as
I
the
found
Red
it
Band
funny.
trailer.
I found it as funny in a different way.
Yeah,
because you could clearly hear where the edits are.
Right.
Like they purposely left it edited that bad on purpose.
Right, and the other thing was I was sitting in because I had already seen it already. I was sitting there in the chair, a little tense, because I was like, oh boy, did they accidentally put that Red Band trailer in front the Justice League? And apparently no, it was the Green Band trailer.
It was the Green Band, but
So
part of me wished they had did it just for the real Deadpool would have put the Red Band in front of that movie.
Yeah, because they that did happen with the first Deadpool. They did put a Red Band in front of something. It was a movie that they should not have had a Red Band trailer in front of. But I do remember that story happening. So yeah, this was hilarious. The names that they put in as like the credits, and then the names that he was using for the colors and the paint were all pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it was all very funny.
The Betty White.
You can take some of this yellow snow and mix it with a dab of Betty White.
and then we got to see that really cool the family portrait that was at the end.
Yeah, that's actually the first poster.
Right. Yeah, they worked that in there. I was curious how when it first came out, I was like, why is it like a painting? And then now we know.
Yeah, because he painted it.
Right. So
I'm excited to see more for Deadpool 2. I kind of don't want to see a traditional trailer. I kind of want another episode of Getting Wet on Wet.
Yeah. And then the little bits of the movie that we did, the actual movie that they did put in there, like those cool action shots, you can tell this was from a different director. This did have more of the what's the guy's name? Not the director, but the movies that he's made.
John Wick.
John Wick look to it, which was really cool.
It had a John Wick look to it, but at the same time, it had this traditional Deadpool feel.
Right. I mean, it looked like
what
a more polished look than the first Deadpool had.
What the first Deadpool was going for was clever because it hid away a lot of the budgetary constraints the studio put on them.
Right.
And then once they saw Deadpool make almost $800 million, they went, okay, we actually have something with this guy. Give him all the money he needs.
Right, and with this one, there's gonna be less CGI because they have a better budget to do more practical things with it, which is cool because it did have a more practical look to it, especially with some of the action parts that we were able to see.
Yeah, it did look more practical, especially the truck crashing.
Right, that was the big thing. That was something that we didn't get in the first one.
No.
I mean, it looked cool in the first one, those car chase scenes and stuff that he was in, but it didn't look quite as real as it looks like it's going to be in this movie. So I'm excited about that part of it because
part of me wants me to believe that Deadpool 1 was a movie and Deadpool 2 takes place in the real world.
That's a good idea. That's cool.
That'll be an extra bit of meta humor for everybody.
Right.
Like people coming out of Deadpool 1 because they made a movie about the story Deadpool told or something.
You know, I didn't see any. I don't think I saw any glimpses of, because I mean this was just like a quick 5-10 seconds. I didn't see any shots with his girlfriend anymore.
Oh, yeah, they were in the kitchen kissing.
They were in the kitchen? Oh, okay. So I have to look at it again. I didn't think I had seen her.
Yeah, they were in the kitchen kissing for like a brief moment. And then you saw Domino come out of a classroom.
Right.
And then you saw Cable reach out for a grenade launcher at the end.
Yeah, and I saw T.J. Miller, I saw the old lady, and I saw Negasonic Teenage Warhead. So, yeah, we saw all that part.
They even brought back Dopinder.
Dopinder? Who is that again?
Every time I bring up Dopinder, nobody remembers who he was. He was the cab driver.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know he had a name.
Did he not leave that much of an impression? He was like one of the funniest parts of the movie to me.
He was a funny part in the movie. I just didn't think about him as a name. I thought he was cab driver.
Yeah, he was actually had a name. His name was Dopinder.
Dopinder.
Yeah, okay. That was his name.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Because he even had the subplot that he kidnapped
His girlfriend or his something.
His crush's boyfriend.
That's it.
And he locked him in, left him in the trunk.
Right. He's like, is he in the trunk?
And then Deadpool was like whispering things, like trying to tell him, like, you're doing the wrong thing. Kill him.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Like, what? What's the directions you want me to follow?
I actually kind of want to watch Deadpool again now.
I actually have it on Blu-ray. I should bring it next time I come
I got
over.
it too. I got it too.
Oh.
It's up there.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait.
Should be in the D section. Up at the top. I have everything alphabetized.
There it is. I see.
Oh, okay.
Deadpool.
So it didn't. Ended up after the alphabetization of my Blu-ray section.
Yes.
I gave up on it after I started collecting more.
I also have the Blu-ray version of Blu-ray. The Blu-ray version of Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Congratulations! I know English.
Well, I need to upgrade to the 4K one because that's out too.
Because you have a 4K Blu-ray player by the way of an Xbox One S, and that makes me angry. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Strangers 2, Pray at Night.
Hang on. We got the release date for Deadpool 2 is June 1st, 2018. So we still got a few more months.
We still got half a year to go.
Half a year to go on that. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, let's go to that story you just mentioned. Mm-hmm. The Strangers 2, Pray at Night trailer. All right, so a family's road trip takes a dangerous turn when they arrive at a secluded mobile home park to stay with some relatives and find it mysteriously deserted. Under the cover of darkness, 3 masked psychopaths pay them a visit to test the family's every limit as they struggle to survive. Strangers 2, Pray at Night is set to release on March 9th, 2018. Oh no, I did not mean to do that. Okay, we're back. I mean, we didn't go anywhere. I disconnected my remote is all.
Yeah, the remote that controls the show.
Yes. So, anyways, I know a lot about the Strangers, or enough about the Strangers to get the gist of it, without actually having seen it. Mm-hmm. And I think you have too. You haven't seen it either. You know that these killers are doing this just because this family was at home in the first one. That's a big part of it. And they're just
doing it because they're there.
Yeah.
The torture.
It's completely at random
with no point to it.
I'm curious if that's probably exactly what they're going to do with the second one.
I don't think that's creepier that way. That they're just picking people just because they're there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you just happen to stumble across this. Now we're just going to mess with you now.
Right.
Hope you survive.
And I know one of the actresses is Bailey Madison. I don't remember who the adult female was with her.
Was that Christina Hendricks?
Christina Hendricks and Bailey Madison are the 2 leads in this movie. Anyway, I'm gonna see it. I didn't think we needed a sequel, but I haven't seen the first one to even care about the sequel. Maybe if I watch the first one, it's like, oh, I need a sequel to that.
See, the thing, a movie about like strangers, since there is no overarching plot or nothing to explain, you theoretically could make a sequel to The Strangers. Because since they just do what they do. They just show up and then they leave, and then they can go somewhere else and do it again. So theoretically, it's like the perfect slasher movie franchise.
Right.
You don't have to explain motivation. There is none.
Right.
You just know when you see those masks, you're in trouble.
So it's brilliant and easy at the same time.
Yeah. So where do we plop them next?
Anywhere we want.
Yeah, exactly. We did a mobile home. We did someone else's home. Want to do an apartment building? Yes. Right. Strangers 3.
The Strangers in Space.
Someone's picked up the mantle in the future.
Oh boy, let's hope it doesn't get that crazy. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it looks exactly how I would expect it to look. It looks like a decent horror film. A lot of screaming, a lot of chasing. So I don't think there was a lot of chasing in the first one. So that's something different. I'm pretty sure that one was more focused on that.
That was more of a bottle film.
Yeah. So this one's gonna be a little bit more moving around, a little more atmosphere. So. Yeah, I'm gonna give these characters some room to breathe. All right. Anyways, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and move on.
Let me take care of this next story.
Yeah, this one sounds like.
I want to talk about this one a lot, because there's maybe something about this one you may not know.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Okay.
Rampage trailer.
The Rampage trailer. Primatologist Davis Okoye shares an unshakable bond with George, the extraordinarily intelligent gorilla who has been in his care since birth. but a rogue genetic experiment gone awry transforms the gentle ape
It's not picking up very well.
into a raging monster. As these newly created monsters tear across North America, destroying everything in their path, Okoye learns with a discredited genetic engineer to secure an antidote, finding his way through an ever-changing battlefield, not only to halt a global catastrophe, but to save the fearsome creature that was once his friend. And this is nothing like the video game this movie is based on.
No.
Rampage is actually based on an old video game.
Right. Yeah, I knew that part.
Yeah, but they changed the plot heavily.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Because if you remember, in the original Rampage, it was 3 humans that were changed into these monsters.
Really? Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, like every time you lost all your life, you shrunk back down to a human, and then you had to get away because the remaining monsters could eat you for points.
Right. I told this story a few episodes ago about me going to my friend's house. He had like a really cool game room in the upstairs, and like a 50-inch projector screen TV. I remember going to his house and playing, I think it was the World Tour version of it on the N64.
Yeah, everybody remembers Rampage World Tour. Everyone remembers that game.
Because I remember going to Blockbuster and renting it, and we played it on his N64.
Did you know that game got a sequel?
There's World Tour, and then there's the National, or what's the other one? It's another tour.
Universal
Tour.
Because they added like aliens to it.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't play that one, but I remember it coming out.
Yeah, because Rampage, because it was like always, because it was two males, and Lizzie was female, because the name was Lizzie. Lizzie Elizabeth, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued that they went this route by actually making him a real gorilla and an albino gorilla.
The thing that gets me, because this is done from the same it's from the same director that did San Andreas.
Yeah.
Okay, this basically looks like they could have just called this San Andreas 2 Rampage.
Which they kind of did, because at one point he flies to the helicopter.
Yes, that's exactly what the point. It looked like he was even playing the same character, riding around the helicopter. They could have just called this San Andreas 2. Because I'm curious how they're going to do that second San Andreas movie anyway.
Wait, they're making another San Andreas?
Oh, yeah, they're making a second one.
Why?
I don't know, because they made a lot of money.
I guess.
But, yeah, they could have easily, because of how far-fetched a sequel to that movie would have been, they could have easily just said, we're going to, you know what we're doing, we're not taking this so seriously, but we could just go ahead and call this Rampage.
San Andreas 2, Rampage.
Yeah, I mean, that would actually make it a cool title, too, guys.
And then you could, but now I'm just intrigued, because it actually looks like there's some money behind this one. So, could we get 2 good video game movies in a row?
What's the first one?
Tomb Raider in March, Rampage in April.
I'm hopeful about Tomb Raider.
Me too.
And I have low expectations for Rampage, but that's also not saying too much, because I'm actually hoping I enjoy it as far as it being a really cool, stupid movie.
Yeah, because like I said, there really was no plot to Rampage. It was just 3 monsters tearing up cities for points.
Yeah, they actually look somewhat realistic, so they actually did a pretty good job with the CGI in this. So this might be even better than Godzilla was for me.
I just have one thing. I just hope at one point they eat something and it makes them breathe fire. If they put that in the movie at any point, it gets a point for me.
And then what was that?
Whatever score I'll give it, I'll add 1 point if they add that.
Well, there was that line in there. Didn't he say, oh, what, you didn't hear about the giant crocodile? Or
the 30-foot wolf.
Oh, the 30-foot wolf. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then there was the giant alligator or crocodile, whatever it was.
The giant crocodile coming out of the water. Yeah. That's the Lizzie equivalent.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's in there. Mm-hmm. Who was the female?
I don't know.
Dang it. If they could have put Carla Gugino in there,
but then that would have really been San Andreas 2. And they weren't going for that. They were going for their own thing, even though it looks exactly like San Andreas.
Yes. San Andreas with giant creatures. Let's see. Gosh, even the poster just looks like the Godzilla poster, just with the Rock in front. Malin Ackerman. Okay, so, and Joe Manganiello is in there too. Along with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Naomi Harris. So they got pretty good actors in there.
Yeah.
Malin Ackerman's not that great of an actor, but or actress anyway, but she's okay. She was okay in Watchmen.
Yeah, she was. She was pretty okay.
So, I don't want to say excited. I will see this when it comes out. I'm intrigued. That's it. So, I could care less if it comes out, but I will see it opening night. So,
But you know what? There's going to be a certain heavy element of certain kind of people in the studio, in the theater that day.
what's that?
April 20th.
420.
Yeah.
I even thought about it when it came out too.
Mm-hmm.
So they picked a good date for it.
Whoa, giant monsters attacking the city, man.
So
That is a gross generalization of that crowd. I'm sorry about that, but
it's gonna
going to happen.
So it's not offensive if it's true.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
So we've already abandoned the thumbs up apparently because I forgot about it the last.
Yeah, like I said, that's
story.
something we're going to add next episode. We tested it out on the boss level story, but
yeah,
it's something we're going to probably implement. That's why we're taking a week off to get the show streamlined.
Yeah, it'll have a totally new look next week.
Yeah.
Our next show.
Yeah.
And a new some new rule or new things to work into the story.
Mm-hmm.
Things to make the show a little more interesting. It's gonna be. We'll have to say how many thumbs we have up for you podcast listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So, or if it's gonna be one thumb up. So it's gonna be either thumb up or thumb down. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is, or somewhere in the middle. Anyways, you gave the date away, April 20th, 2018, which is good. So we will move on to a story that we probably won't be able to talk about for very long.
Because we know nothing.
Yeah, because it's
By design.
By design. Where's the name? There we go. A Quiet Place trailer. And no, this is not an ASMR movie.
No.
Yes, it's
Even though we just went to ASMR mode for some reason.
Yes. It's a quiet place. You have to get quiet when you say quiet.
You just can't go, a quiet place.
Yes.
It don't work.
Anyways, there's no, I left out text for just so I can mess with you guys. Anyways, so yeah, the plot is being kept under wraps for this movie. The trailer tells you almost nothing about the movie, except for that it's a little tense. And that there's not a lot of dialogue that's going to happen. I think it's going to be almost all sign language, maybe. So, which might be real interesting. So,
especially considering this is like the writing and directorial debut of John Krasinski.
Not the debut, but for a major movie, yes, it's a debut because he did one called. He did a comedy last year. What's it called? He's done a couple movies, but they aren't mainstream at all.
Oh, okay.
So this is more one of his first mainstream debut directors. So let me see what he did. He did. I know he did something called like The Ugliest Men. He did. Brief Interviews with Hideous Men. He's done a few episodes of The Office. And last year he did The Hollers, which was a really good movie. That they had. All right, let me go ahead and open it up now because I've forgotten her name. The girl from Pitch Perfect. What's her name?
Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick. Yeah, Anna Kendrick was in that movie. Margot Martindale, Richard Jenkins. So yeah, that was a good movie. I definitely suggest you go check it out. But yeah, this is a way different movie than that. That one's more of a melodramatic movie, and this one's I guess it's called a thriller. And that's all I can get from that trailer. But it looks good. John Krasinski's on a critical role, I guess, for movies that he's directed. Because all of his movies, and I have no problems with his acting. So, and it also stars his wife, Emily Blunt, who you see in the trailer.
Yes, you do.
So, this movie's supposed to come out April 6th, 2018. I suggest if you want to know anything as much as we do, go ahead and check out the trailer. It's a
then you'll be caught up.
Yeah, you'll be as caught up as we are, which is about clear as mud.
Yes.
So, anyways, we got something I'm excited about,
Me
even though
too.
I was just a little disappointed by the trailer. This was the Incredibles 2 teaser. It's just a teaser. That's why I was a little disappointed. I want a little bit more. So,
you know we're going to get the full trailer when Star Wars comes out or Coco.
yeah,
Come on,
that's
you
true.
know this.
Yeah, so this one, I don't know if this is an official plot line. It's the best I can find. So Elastigirl springs into action to save the day while Mr. Incredible faces his greatest challenges yet, taking care of the problems of his 3 children. This movie is released June 15th, 2018.
9 days before my birthday.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll probably go see this for my birthday, even though I'm a grown man. I do
Yes.
not care.
Oh, no, man.
I'll be 32 years old in Incredibles 2. Let's make this happen.
I'm almost certain Pixar movies are for adults, not for children. That's because I'm more interested in it than any of the kids I know.
Oh yeah, the kids are looking at it because it's pretty. I'm like, the stories are excellent.
Yeah, I challenge my nephews to sit through Up, and without falling asleep. I liked Up, but I know that was too much for them.
Up was great.
Yes.
The first few minutes was like perfect.
Yes.
It was the first few minutes was like the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yes.
It was like the perfect setup.
And then I'm hearing so much about Coco. I'm so excited to see Coco.
Oh, me too. I'm
taking
dying to see Coco.
Every tissue I can find with me, as I hear it's going to make you cry. So, anyways, The Incredibles 2. There's not a lot of what was the name of that little character that was in that trailer? Jack. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
I love Jack.
So it's Jack with laser eyes. It's literally a teaser. So that's obviously nothing from the movie.
They teased a few of his new powers though.
Really?
Because before he can only do fire and metal.
Right.
So now he does fire, electricity, and laser beams now.
Okay.
So he does have. They did explain that he has expanded his gifts a little bit, and to the point where he has slight control over them now. Also, he can phase through walls.
Okay. So from this little bit of description that may or may not be from the movie, it sounded like we're going to get a little bit of a Mr. Mom angle with Mr. Incredible.
From what I've heard, which is intriguing to me because I'm about to explain, that Incredibles 2 picks up right when 1 ended.
Oh. Well, yeah, I guess
when
it
the
has
Underminer
to, Jack's still a baby, yeah.
When the Underminer came out from underground.
Right.
Which is intriguing because they already told the story.
Really?
There was a video game that came out a few years ago on the PlayStation 2 called The Incredibles: Rise of the Underminer.
That was critically panned, wasn't it, though?
I don't think it was panned, but I don't think it did as well as they would like.
Okay, because I didn't play it, and I don't know. So
Let me look while you're talking about it. I'll look that up real quick.
Okay. So while he's looking that up, I will tell you that The Incredibles isn't one of my favorite Pixar movies, but I do enjoy it. But it's also not my least favorite, because all of my least favorites are anything that says the word Cars in the title.
Oh, yeah, I don't like... The Cars movies were cash grabs and cash grabs only.
And WALL-E above that. WALL-E is above it.
But it's low on your list, and then it needs to be changed.
I might.
Well, at the same time, though, Pixar makes so many good movies. Something has to be at the bottom.
Right. Well, I liked Ratatouille just a little bit more than that. So Ratatouille's just about
Good Dinosaur?
I haven't seen The Good Dinosaur yet, but
So
I do need to. So I guess I will adjust my list accordingly. But I don't think I'm going to give The Good Dinosaur a low rating. It was a short movie, though. I remember that much. So it didn't feel so much as Pixar, which is why I didn't feel the urge to go see it. And it was just right after. What was it right after? What was that movie called? Inside Out.
Yeah.
So it was right after Inside Out. What's up?
I got it. It was just being stupid.
Oh. So,
Okay, I'm looking up this score for Rise of the Underminer right now. See what the review said. If my tablet would cooperate. Amazon, you make a fine tablet, but sometimes it's slow.
Oh boy, there goes our affiliate program. No, just kidding. We don't have an affiliate program. That would mean we'd get money from this thing.
Okay, it has about a 6. It has a 60% on Metacritic.
Okay, so it's somewhere in the middle, right around where you were.
It was average.
Okay.
But it was the fact that it was the sequel to the movie, so I wonder if it's just going to be a adaptation of the game, or is it going to be a new story?
Maybe that will work as somewhere of an in-between, but I don't think they're expecting a lot of people to have played that game before seeing this movie.
See, but the fact that I remember it shows a lot about what I do in my free time.
Right. So I guess the story was pretty heavy in there. I mean, there's quite a bit of story in that.
I'm not saying I played the game.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying I remembered that was the
You just
key.
remember there was a game.
There was a game that pretty
the
much told that story.
Okay. Well, anyways, we have spent enough time talking about The Incredibles 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part of the show that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much after this, but anyways, this is the box office predictions. I blanked on the name of this part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the box office predictions where we it's pretty much in the title there. We predict what the weekend box office is going to be for this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll also show you guys how we did last weekend.
Yes.
And if you are new to the show, the person that wins, I mean, they obviously get the recognition of being a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And we also give that belt to the winner of that weekend. And now, if you remember, last weekend I was 5 for 5.
Yes.
I did very well. I didn't get the bonus point, but I was still 5 for 5, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then the bonus point is for the number one movie, we predict
how much it's actually going to make.
Right, and if we go the closest without going over, like Price is Right, then you also get that bonus point.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no penalty for not getting it right, except for you just don't get that bonus point.
You just don't get the benefit of knowing.
And some people need that bonus point.
Mm-hmm.
Some people need it, and some people don't. So, anyways, we'll go ahead and show you guys how we did last weekend.
I'm pointing to him because he needs the bonus point.
Yes. So here was last weekend, or here's how we did last weekend, right? Yeah. So for the number 5 movie in the box office, it was Jigsaw. Can you read any of that? I can't read.
I can read
anything.
it.
Thank you. Go ahead, because I can't read.
Okay. Okay. Number 5 last weekend was Jigsaw. Well, wait a minute. I can't read how much it made.
Oh, sorry. I'll pull it up real quick. Let me pull it up so I can. I don't have it in my notes.
Yeah.
So I'll just read it off of Box Office Mojo real quick.
Yeah,
so
that'll be the better idea.
Let me go to theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the weekend. Let's go to last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Okay, so for number 5, it was Jigsaw,
Mm-hmm.
which, you bozos. Hang on, this is showing it the day by day. Come on. So, weekend. Here we go, weekend. Go to the 10th through the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Here's the totals. So the number 5 movie was Jigsaw. It made $3.4 million last weekend. And I predicted that Boo 2 is going to be it, and I was wrong. EJ said Jigsaw, and he was correct.
Ding.
So yeah, ding. And number 4 was Bad Moms Christmas with $11.5 million. I predicted that was going to be Murder on the Orient Express, and I was wrong. But EJ predicted Bad Moms Christmas, and he was right. Ding.
Ding.
So number 3 was Murder on the Orient Express. I said that it was going to be
A Bad Mom's Christmas.
A Bad Mom's Christmas. And EJ said
Murder on the Orient Express.
Ding!
Ding.
Did I say how much that made? That did not. $28.7 million.
Which was way more than I thought it was.
Yeah, that was way more than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so the number 2 movie was Daddy's Home 2. Number 2, very appropriate number for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So 29.
Because it was poopy.
$29.7 million.
Mm-hmm. We both had that one, right?
Yes, I knew that you guys were going to go jack up the box office with that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was correct, and so was EJ.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here was the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 movie in the box office was Thor Ragnarok. Going into its second week, it made $57.1 million in its second week. I predicted that it was going to be that, but I also said that it would make $55 million.
That you did.
And it just made just over that with 57. So I got the bonus point.
Yes, you did.
Wasn't enough to give me a win.
Because I went 5, 4, 5.
Yeah, so EJ said Thor Ragnarok was going to be number 1, but it was going to make $70 million.
Yes.
So you went a little over. Not too bad. 'Cause we talked about the trend last week of movies not quite doing their 50%, going over their 50% in their second week, which if you follow the trend, sometimes you're good. I don't think we're going to see that. And with the next movie that we're going to see that with is going to be The Last Jedi. I think it's definitely going to go over its 50% in its second week. I think we're safe with that bet. But I think that's going to be, and that would make it probably the only movie this year to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, let's go back to the camera so you guys can see who's holding this stinking belt.
Oh, it's stinking now because I have it.
Yes.
I want y'all to understand this. It's stinking now because I have it, even though he's had it 2 weeks now.
Right.
So I want y'all to see something real quick. I'm going to go up to the camera real close. See, we have giant race markers now. Do you see that? How it says his name at the bottom of the nameplate right there?
Yes, he's asking if you see how it has my name at the bottom of the nameplate.
See the nameplate on the name where it says Walker?
Yes.
Gone now.
It's gone.
And in its place.
He's ruined the belt.
No. I have just made it phenomenal. EJ is the champ now, baby.
All right. So
Put that there.
So clearly the belt means nothing. Anyways, I would tell you that Night Hippie Chick, I would do this whole thing where I tease, a nice hippie chick didn't say anything to you. But she literally didn't say anything to you because I don't think she's watching.
Really?
Yeah. This is the first time Night Hippie has not been watching the show.
Weird.
While we were doing it live. Unless she somehow leaves a comment right now that says, "Congratulations, EJ," or something like that.
Yeah, I don't
She
think
didn't. So she's not watching the show live.
So
Maybe she'll listen to the podcast.
Maybe she'll catch up and give us a congratulations later.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know what happened. Where are
Where you at?
Where you at?
Yeah, Night Hippie, the #1 fan.
Mm-hmm.
Slipping. I don't know.
I don't know what happened.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe she'll pop up later. Maybe she'll pop up later.
Yeah, maybe we'll get that comment after it's uploaded later on.
Yeah. Maybe she's watching the stream late.
Maybe. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. But Jonathan's already asked, "Where you at, Night Hippie?" And she has not responded. He asked that early, like right when the show started.
Oh, okay.
'Cause that's usually all he watches. He watches the first 5 minutes and leaves.
Oh, okay. Well, at least he gave us 5 minutes.
Well, actually, he swears he watched the whole episode last week. It's like, well, why didn't you jump on the game? I didn't have my laptop. Okay.
Okay, that sounds like a lie, but all right.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and, well, actually, I'll show you guys what's being released this week. And I didn't have time to write the text under them to tell you how many theaters are playing in, but I can actually read them out loud to you because I can read. Okay, here we go. Box office. All right, so here is what's releasing this weekend. We have Justice League, obviously. It's playing in 4,051 theaters. We have The Star, which is playing in 2,837 theaters. We have Wonder, which is playing in 3,096 theaters. So that is what's being released, wide release anyway, this weekend. So now is where we take those, what we know from those numbers and from these releases,
and add them to the list.
Yes. So this is going to be a little more difficult than I think it should be.
So okay, I'm going to start. I'll start off.
Go ahead and start.
Number 5 for me, The Star.
Number 5, you say The Star. Okay. So you want me to go ahead and do my number 5?
Yeah, we go 5. We'll bounce back and forth.
We'll bounce back now that we don't have to share a pin.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me actually... okay. What did I say? We had number 5s. So Jigsaw... I wish I want to look at the numbers from last week so I can...
Yeah, you can do that. It's not cheating.
Okay, so last week, Jigsaw only made $3.5 million. Bad Moms Christmas. Okay, so we also have... Let me add here so I can know. We have Justice League. Wonder. And what was the other one?
Star.
The Star. Okay. So, that being said, definitely Jigsaw's dropping out.
Oh, yeah, that's why I put Star at 5.
Okay, so The Star. Murder on the Orient Express was made pretty impressive, so I think that's going to just be a little higher than... I think you're right. Okay, I'm going to agree with you and put the... man, if The Star can edge out Bad Moms Christmas, I think Bad Moms Christmas might be number 5. So I'm going to put Bad Moms 2 because that is easier to write.
Okay.
Bad Moms 2 for my number 5.
Okay, my number 4 will be Murder on the Orient Express.
Murder on the Orient Express. You think Bad Moms 2 is going to drop out of the top 5? Or just... Well, I'll wait. I'll see what you do. See what your theory is. So you said Murder on the Orient Express for number 5. Man, this is so hard. This is really, really hard. Gosh, dude.
And this is why we play the game for the title.
Yeah, man. Because there's so many movies been released. I wish the star was going to be in the. Because if Bad Moms Christmas does 50% of what it did, that would put it around about 5.5 ish million. And so I think the star might be able to do a little better than that. Ooh. I'm gonna change it. I'll put the star and say Bad Moms 2 will drop out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm changing my number 5 to the star, and I'll put number 4. So if Murder on the Orient Express has a 50% drop, it'd be around 12-ish. So, dude, no. I will put Murder on the Orient Express for number 5, and the star is number 4.
Oh, so we're flipping.
Yes. Murder on the Orient, because it did really well. And I think it can. I don't see a lot of people returning to go see this, but I do see it enough to be at number 5. Murder on the Orient.
My philosophy with me dropping Bad Moms out of the list has nothing to do with the fact that I don't think it's going to make a lot of money. I just think the top 3 is going to make so much that it's going to shove everything else down a lot.
Because I think we're totally going to agree on our top 3 now, because I think I've written down at least 2 of those 3. So, you want me to do number 3, or do you want to do your number 3?
I'll do my number 3 now.
Go ahead and do your number 3.
Daddy's Home.
Crap, dude. So, forget about man. Murder on the Orient and Daddy were less than $1 million apart from each other.
I put an asterisk on my list because I think Wonder's going to be 6th.
I think Wonder's going to be number 2, dude, or number 3.
I think Wonder's going to Wonder's going to be a good movie critically, but not make enough money financially to sit number 3 on the list with Daddy's Home, Murder.
So you think Wonder is going to do less than The Star?
Yeah, because it's an animated movie.
Yeah, but it's animated from a crappy studio.
When has that stopped crappy animated movies from making some money before?
And this is going to be like, I imagine this is going to, I'm trying hard to justify this being in the top 5, because I feel like it's going to be a Norm of the North type thing where it's going to go way low. Oh, gosh.
See, Norm of the North, though, wasn't put out by Sony.
Right. That's true. That's the other Sony movie.
Yeah. Sony again. On that hot streak I see.
Dude, okay. So I'm trying to figure out why Wonder would do less than The Star.
I can tell you why. Because of what we're going to put at number 1 and number 2.
Oh, I know that. So now I'm actually taking out.
Your list is changing.
I feel like Daddy's Home 2 is going to have more of the return for the second week than Murder on the Orient is, unfortunately.
Are we going to have to institute a new rule for this show?
How many erases you can do?
How many erases you could do before you're locked in.
Okay.
And what I mean by how many erases, total, not per number.
Okay, so The Star, number 5. Daddy's Home, number 4. At least when I do this, I at least go back up the list.
Yeah.
Daddy's Home 2. Wonder 3. Did you do your 2?
I haven't done 2 yet.
Okay.
2 is obviously going to be
Thor Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
So Thor Ragnarok made $57 million in its second week. So if we can expect maybe a 25-ish%, I don't know. I don't think
I'm willing going to bet this could be like 35.
Really? 35.
35 million.
You willing to put in a bonus point for that?
You know what? I am.
So 35. From 57 and dropped to 35.
Because everybody's going to be in a comic book movie frame of mind, either coming out of or going to see Justice League, and they may want to stop and see Thor Ragnarok again or for the first time.
I'm not going to be so far from you. I'm going to put 30.
Okay.
So let me put just Thor Rag, and then on the side I'm going to put 30 million. So that's a bonus point if we get one of those get that right, and we're still going to have the bonus point here for our number one movie, Justice League.
Yes, we both in agreement that Justice League is number one. But this is where we differ. I don't think Justice League is going to break 100 million this weekend.
I'm not so differing with you because I agree.
It's still going to make a lot of money, but it's not going to make Marvel money.
Yeah, it's not going to make Thor Ragnarok money, which was really little for the movie. And this is actually going to be pretty sad. So, which one do you want to put yours? Let's write ours out, so that way we don't think we should have just wrote ours out and then announced it, because this is where we can't erase. This is where we're gonna.
I've already said it's gonna make 85 million.
80. Oh, you think 85 million? You think it's gonna be that low?
Yeah, it's not gonna break 100, but it's still gonna be kind of high.
Let's see, so we got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah, I think it's gonna do 35 maybe for Friday. I think it might do 40. For Sunday or for Saturday,
and
maybe do 40-ish again on Sunday. So how much is that?
That's, you know what? I didn't think about that. Oh, you didn't know we're racing. I'll stick with the 85.
Go ahead and erase it. Do what you gotta do, buddy.
Nope. Rules are rules. We'll stick with the 85.
Okay, 85. So what did I do? I did 40, 40, 80.
Sounds like 110, 115.
So I'm gonna put 105.
Okay.
Just for safety. So 105 million.
Hey,
so
Archie,
105
wants to say hello to my knee.
So what did remember what I said for what opening night was for Thor? We said 100. I said 110. You said 115, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Okay, so 105. Man, that I feel like I'm gonna be a little high, but this is really sad.
Yeah.
For Justice League.
Yeah.
And I don't know who to blame for it.
Oh, and when we get to the review, which is going to be in the next few minutes, we're probably going to know why.
Okay. So, anyways, that is our top 5. My number 5, I put for some reason. I think I had the star.
Yeah. And we'll work it out from there.
Yeah. The star for number 5. Number 4, I had Daddy's Home 2. Number 3, I have Wonder. And number 2, I have Thor Ragnarok making $30 million for its third week. Number 1, I have Justice League making $105 million in its first week, opening week.
And my list, as you can see, number 5, I have the star.
It's not hearing you.
Oh. Number 5, I have the star. Number 4, Murder on the Orient Express. Number 3, Daddy's Home 2. Number 2, Thor Ragnarok with $35 million as the bonus point. And number 1, Justice League with $85 million as the bonus point.
That's good. That's good.
And as an asterisk, I don't know if I'll get a bonus point for this. That's something we'll have to talk about later. I have Wonder at number 6.
And just to you dry erase companies, how hard is it to put like felt in between the magnet and the board? Is it that hard? It makes it easier to erase. Okay. Anyways.
Did you not know that your cap has an eraser on it?
I know, but I was using this thing as it's supposed to be that, right? Or no, is this just to put notes on there?
Yeah, you're supposed to just stick notes on that. That's why the eraser's on the cap, man.
All right.
It's like a pencil.
We're cool. We're still cool, dry erase companies. We're still cool.
He's just kind of... It's a long day.
It's a long day.
He sat through Justice League.
Anyways. Oh, snap. Okay, so... With that being said...
I didn't say it was a bad movie. I just said he just sat through Justice League.
Let's go into our Justice League review.
A spoiler-free Justice League review.
Spoiler-free Justice League review.
Hold on a sec. Got to readjust.
And still no night hippie chick. Okay.
Readjusting on camera. Give me a second.
Cool. There's a lot of adjusting. A lot more adjusting than I was expecting.
Had to make a cushion.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, these
Chairs are not the best.
These chairs are not the best at all. If you could see what we were sitting on, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and start this review.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to tell the story about what the Justice League is about without giving any spoilers away?
Okay, yes, I can tell you the story of what Justice League is about. Shortly after the events of Batman versus Superman, we see the world as grieving the loss of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And as we grieve Superman, a threat takes that moment as an opportunity to strike. Now that he feels the lone threat to him is now gone, and he's come to Earth looking for what are known as
Mother boxes.
And as Wonder Woman's pride describes them, they do not contain power. They are power.
Mm.
So Batman sees this as a threat he cannot fight alone. So he seeks out the others that we have seen him seek out in Batman versus Superman when he got the hard drive. He seeks them all out in an attempt to help him fight this threat from another place. I can't really describe where it's from.
Right. I mean, his name is Steppenwolf, right?
Steppenwolf.
And he's like below somebody that's much bigger than him, right? We saw him a little bit in the movie.
In the movie universe, I think he's Steppenwolf's nephew. Not Steppenwolf's nephew, but in the movie universe, I think they're alluding to the fact that he's a certain someone's nephew.
Right.
But in the comic books, he's that certain someone's uncle.
Okay.
So they changed his lineage up a little bit to make him seem more, so the bigger threat is still in the background.
And we'll talk about that part in the
spoiler review. That's why I'm trying to be vague about it now.
Good job about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, now we're going to talk about what we liked about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
What I liked about this movie was the pacing. We knew going in that this was supposed to be. I mean, this was mandated anyway. Not before the production when it should have been. This was mandated right somewhere around the reshoot time. 2 hours. Make a 2-hour movie. Bad time to do it, but they did it. They made a really decent 2-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
In DC standards, anyway.
Yeah.
So, for DC standards, this was a good movie.
This is the next best movie since Wonder Woman.
It didn't have a lot of that extra baggage that you got in Batman versus Superman.
No.
And you didn't get... what I also liked about it was the tone.
Yes.
The tone was a lot brighter. I liked that it was little bit more comedic than anything that they've ever made.
Yes.
Because there was a lot of funny moments in Wonder Woman.
Let's refine that comment.
Intentionally
comedic.
Yes, intentionally comedic funny.
Suicide Squad was funny, but they really did that, didn't they? Kind of way.
So, yeah, there was a lot of light moments for this, and the overall tone of it was not quite as dark and gloomy.
It wasn't grimdark just for the sake of being grimdark because it was different from what the other guys are doing.
Yes.
It actually made sense.
Right.
But then I also have something that's a positive and a negative.
Okay.
I like the nostalgia of this movie.
Oh, that's a good point. It did feel like a little bit of a throwback. Especially the Gotham. I liked the way the Gotham looked.
I'm not even referring to those moments, but those were cool moments too. I was talking more of the use of the Danny Elfman and John Williams.
Oh yes, the way the throwback music that they
did. I thought that was cool to add those elements.
Original themes.
Add those original elements back to this movie, but I also considered it a negative because it took you bringing those elements back to make me enjoy this movie a little more instead of striking out on your own.
Right, and also I liked every character. I liked every Justice League character that we were introduced
Justice League
to.
character, yes.
So I liked Ezra Miller as the Flash. I liked what's his name?
Ray Fisher as Cyborg.
As Cyborg, yes.
And it's a shock that I didn't think I was going to do it, and it also makes sense why Thor Ragnarok was the way it was. Now, Jason Momoa was Aquaman.
Yes, he was so cool.
Yes. I thought that was very clever how they played him, like played him like he was like a man of two worlds, which he is.
Right, he is. So he was a lot more of a. I thought he was going to be more like a leader where he's at, but he's more of a lone wolf.
Yeah,
where he's at. 'Cause I thought he was more like a king or something.
He grows into that role.
Right. So he's more of like an outcast to where he's from.
Yeah, he's more the outcast. 'Cause like you said, he's more
Atlantis.
He's of two worlds. He's half human, half Atlantean.
Right, and nobody else down there is that way.
No.
Apparently, not from the looks of it anyway.
That's why he's kind of angry at his mom because he lived most of his life on the land.
Right. So, I thought he was Jason Momoa was absolutely amazing as Aquaman. That was perfect casting there.
Mm-hmm. It was a very different take for Aquaman that I do enjoyed it. And it actually, I did a lot of things that were pretty cool with his mythos too.
Yes.
We'll get more into that in the spoiler review.
Right, and Gal Gadot,
Wonder Woman, she
knocked it out of the park as Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, she's a really good Wonder Woman.
She was such a good. She was a lot like the leader of the group in this sort of.
And I think that was an actual focal point in the movie at one point.
Right. And what was that? Nothing. Oh, it's the remote turned off.
Okay.
So, anyways,
thought the stream shut off again.
no, my phone went into lock mode.
Okay, that's fine.
So, anyways, back to the story. And Ben Affleck as Batman. Cannot forget to mention that.
He did it again.
Did it again. He was a really good Batman.
He was a really
good. Obviously, what a major, almost blaring. I don't know if this isn't a spoiler necessarily because it didn't happen in this movie. One of the things that happened in Batman vs Superman that was really shocking and it was a big change for his character was that he kills people, whereas pretty much nobody dies.
Yeah.
Really, he doesn't kill anybody, and he doesn't seem to even have that arc about him in this.
It like
story.
the Batman vs Superman changed Batman brought Batman back to what we know as Batman.
And if that was supposed to be a change for Batman Batman in that for his character in Batman vs Superman, you would have thought that there would have been a little bit of something mentioned about it in the movie, and that did not happen.
No,
but I mean that's not necessarily a negative. It's just something I want to point out.
Yeah, they really didn't bring up what he did in Batman vs Superman all that much.
Right. So, which is to go. I don't want to go ahead and move into the negatives yet. So, because I still have a lot of positive things.
Yeah.
The one you've already mentioned, the music was really cool. What was I going to say? I liked the way that when I mentioned the pacing earlier. This felt like pretty much every scene in the movie pretty much didn't feel like they were going over 2 minutes. Like you go 2 minutes here. Next part. 2 minutes here, next part, and 2 minutes here, next part.
I like that. I like that they did that, but at certain times it does feel like they overstep some details to get us to the next scene too.
Yes.
So I would like to spend like maybe a minute or two more somewhere in some places, and then kept the scenes the way they are in others.
And this isn't a spoiler because he was in the trailer. Superman. We'll talk about Superman. What's up?
The way he came back is kind of a spoiler.
That is a spoiler. We won't talk about that.
The way he came back and what he did is a spoiler.
Okay, yes. But I will say that I did like
this is the best. This is the best Henry Cavill Superman movie ever.
It felt like because I was gonna say it felt like a little bit more of the real Superman in this, where it didn't feel so much of Snyder's Superman.
Yeah, it felt like Superman, and more so than Snyder's take on a Kryptonian.
Yes.
See, there's a difference there. See, Snyder treated him like a Kryptonian. This movie treated him like Superman.
Right.
And that was important.
Gosh, there's so many more things I want to talk about that I feel like are going to be spoilers.
So we'll save it all for the spoiler review.
We'll move to the negatives now because this is all mostly technical stuff for me.
Oh yeah, I got some story. I got some negative. One big negative.
Go ahead.
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf, yes. The CGI disaster piece.
He looked like what Steppenwolf looked like to me the whole time. Every time I saw Steppenwolf on screen. There was a game that came out a long time ago.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. It reminded me of a video game character because that's how he looked.
There was a video game that came out a long time ago called Soul Calibur 2. And there was a mode in there where you get to create your own fighter. He looked like something out of that game.
Yes. He looked like
model and all.
When you see like they have like video game characters on the boxes of graphic cards.
Yeah.
He looked like something off of that.
He looked like a generic evil Viking character they would throw in the graphics card box.
Yeah,
exactly. That is an accurate description of the way Steppenwolf described. He looks like a generic villain you would throw in a graphics card box.
Yeah. So, yeah,
we can render him.
Yes. So, with that being said, this also goes in with the positives because this is something that Marvel gets a lot of slack for. Or they have really bad villains, but really great heroes, which is what we got out of this movie.
I disagree with the whole Marvel has bad villains thing.
Well, at least they're passable. We don't actually hate them, but they're nothing spectacular except for like Loki, the ones that stand out like that.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. We have villains that stand out in the Marvel universe, because there's also a theme to all the villains in the Marvel universe where DC villains they just pull a villain out of a hat.
Well, at the very least, with the Marvel ones, we do get a little bit of emotional attachment to them. We get an understanding of their motivation.
And the overarching theme to them is, like Vision said in Civil War, our being here invites challenge.
Right.
So it seems as though every villain that's come out against the characters we know has been a result of their doing.
Right.
For example, just to give you an example, had Hank Pym not told the character about the Pym particles,
right,
we wouldn't have gotten Yellow Jacket.
Okay.
If Iron Man had he not been cold to Homeboy, left him on the roof had he not left what was the Guy Pearce's character's name in Iron Man 3? I know he claimed to be the Mandarin.
Let's call him Guy Pearce's character because he didn't need his name. Yeah, he claimed to be the Mandarin.
He claimed to be the Mandarin, but had he not left his character on the roof that night, he wouldn't have became the man that he became in Iron Man 3.
Right.
All their actions led to their villains being created, and that's a central theme in all the Marvel movies, and I appreciate that thread being tied through all their movies.
Right.
So where with DC, there is no common threaded through all their movies.
See, the only I knew they had to have some sort of supernatural excuse for bringing the Justice League together, but it was such a throwaway.
And the way they introduced they introduced the threat, they're here.
Right.
They didn't introduce. There was no introduction to these threats in earlier movies. They just.
Well, they kind of hinted at the mother boxes in Batman vs Superman, but that was actually in a deleted scene, wasn't it?
That was in the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, so you had to watch the Ultimate Edition.
You had to get the Ultimate Edition to get the teasers to this movie, which is not fair.
Right.
They didn't.
Nobody.
That's like they do a Thor movie. Don't put Loki in it, and then Loki's the main villain. What? Why?
Right. So
that's like them doing everything they did to get to the Avengers, but not putting Loki anywhere in any of them.
Now there was a lot about this movie that you cannot tell where Joss Whedon was directing or where Zack Snyder was directing, at least from my perspective. But there was one that you definitely knew was Zack Snyder's, and I actually really liked it. Was the opening? There's like an opening. What's the word I'm looking for, man?
Prologue.
Sort of. It was like that opening scene where there was some music playing.
The funeral scene.
Yeah, that was part of it.
The morning scene.
Morning scene, yeah.
The morning of Superman scene.
Yes, the morning of Superman was really cool, and I can tell that was Zack Snyder's doing.
Yeah. The whole showing the world is like colder and darker for it.
Right. So it reminded me so much of like the Watchmen whenever they were playing that Bob Dylan song at the beginning of Watchmen. It reminded me a lot of that, which was really cool because it was like some slow motion parts, some really cool cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that, and I could tell that was Zack Snyder.
But the CGI flags were fake as
yes,
crap.
As crap. Yes. So that's going back into the negatives, which is CGI in this movie is absolutely terrible.
Absolutely horrible.
Like some of the skyline, you can tell is green screen.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell. I mean, that is it's painfully noticeable.
There's one scene where the Flash does something.
Yeah.
And he gets covered in something.
Yep.
You can clearly tell they just splashed that on in post.
Yeah. So
it looked like they literally broke a highlighter on the film reel. Yes. It would look that noticeable.
And The parademons being most of the.
They were like a very generic looking demon.
That's the one problem. That's the one problem I have with a lot of superhero movies. That when you can tell that it ruins the threat because you know that these parademons, there's nothing about them that's threatening. So you know they're just there for the punches and the kicks and stuff, and that's all good and well, but that didn't lead up to anything.
Yeah, the parademons were just cannon fodder.
Right.
The Justice League were the Power Rangers, and they were the Putty Patrol.
Yes, that's a very good comparison. But yeah, I hate that part about the movie. It's the one thing that's going to hold these movies back is if they don't get a decent threat or some actual man.
But going back to the Marvel movies, the biggest threat their biggest threat so far was actually Helmut Zemo.
Right.
And if it wasn't for Black Panther, he would have got away scot-free.
Yeah. And they did this in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where they were riding, or they were just blasting away all those little ships and stuff. I forgot what those guys are called, but from the beginning when they're like chasing the batteries and stuff. Mm-hmm. But at least that was funny. Yeah,
at least they explained why it was the way it was. It's cannon fodder because to the people flying the ships, it's just a video game.
Yes.
There is no threat to them, so it's just blow them away. We'll just put another one out there.
Right.
We'll just try again on our next life. Died at this time.
Then they wanted all of us, for some strange reason, Batman said they can just sense fear. I don't know how he figured that out so quickly. But
they didn't really explain
that.
it.
At least that. I don't want to spoil it, but that did lead up to something.
That did lead to something, and that was very crucial.
Yes.
And I guess it would make sense that he would know that because his whole thing runs on fear.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that if he's doing something, and then every time he does something, they arrive. He's world's greatest detective. He's smart enough to put those two pieces together. Yeah. So in a way, I don't like they left that detail out. But I understand why they left that detail out due to the fact that he is Batman.
Yes.
And he was smart enough to figure that out.
Right. And another one actually that I forgot to mention in the positives is Atlantis. Atlantis, it's so cool. And it makes me really excited for Aquaman's movie.
It makes me excited for Aquaman's movie too, like the whole them swimming underwater and all that. But if they want to talk to each other, they just make an air pocket in the water.
Yes. I was curious how that was going to work out because at first, I mean, they do have that underwater muffled sound that's just like, oh boy, is this how Aquaman's going to work out? And then they do have that air bubble around them where they can actually communicate with each other. And I was like, that makes so much sense. And it's really cool. It makes me wonder if James Wan had anything to do with that part of it.
Makes me wonder too, is that something that they oversaw and wrote and Archie's going crazy over there.
Sorry.
That's fine, but anyway, all the areas that they expanded on further looked really cool. It was cool to go back to Themyscira again.
Oh yeah, that was one of the more emotional parts of the movie. Mm-hmm. It was going back to there, which is really cool.
And then the whole them, even though she's been banished, I was wondering how word of what happened at Themyscira was going to reach Diana. But they handled that real well, too.
Right.
But it said, by doing what they did and explaining it the way they did, it makes sense that it happened the way it happened.
Yeah, so to go into... now that we are in the negatives, see, the pacing that I mentioned at the beginning being a positive is a blessing and a curse at the same exact time. Mm-hmm. Because this movie could have been 30 to 45 minutes longer, and I wouldn't have minded.
This is one of those rare times where a long DC movie would have worked.
Yes.
Because since you have so many more characters to play off of, you could have made like mini movies within this movie.
Because I know Warner Brothers was really reactionary to how it was negatively Batman versus Superman was received. And one of the biggest complaints was how long it was. Mm-hmm. But it was the fact that there was no levity.
It was just 2.5 hours of just
doom and gloom and build up for nothing.
Yeah.
And then a cop-out ending. Which,
a cop-out ending that they could have saved for something a later movie.
And killing off Superman.
Yeah.
That was really bad. Stupid idea.
Yeah, it was a very... you kill him before you get to your Justice League movie.
Yeah.
Who thought that was smart? And then you had to write in a way to bring him back, which they do, which we will talk about in the spoiler review, and which is why it's in my negative.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree with that part of it, with how they brought him back.
But once he comes back,
yeah.
But that's all we'll say for now.
Yes. So anything else that you can think of? Really cool post-credit scenes.
The post-credit scenes were pretty cool.
Yeah, we won't talk about them because they're spoilers, but we will say that they were cool.
One was cooler than the other, though.
You talking about the first one? Or the second one was cooler than the other, obviously. What, you disagree? You thought the first one was cooler than the other one?
We'll talk about that in the spoiler review.
Because I'm not going to spoil it, but in my opinion, that second post-credit scene was better than anything DC has ever done. So...
I'll explain why I didn't like that second one.
So you just didn't like the second one. There's nothing particular about that first one that makes it that much cooler. You just didn't like the second one. Okay, I get you now. I'm caught up. I was going to say the first one was okay. It was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But, which brings me into a positive, actually. The Flash, with him being the comedic, what do you call him? Comedic relief.
Comedic relief.
Yes. For him being the comedic relief and he was really funny.
He was actually
most of the jokes landed. There was a couple that probably didn't. But.
He was pretty funny, and he was actually he was a motor mouth, but he was understandable why he was a motor mouth because they didn't make him like a cocky motor mouth.
Right.
They made him like a geeky
nervous.
Motor. Yeah. They basically made like the Speed Force like nervous energy for him.
Yes.
Like he's so like him just standing still was like driving him crazy.
Yes.
And I liked that little touch on him.
I really liked how they worked. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. How they worked in how he burns so many calories every time he speeds up like that, and how he's like starving and he can eat an entire pizza or something because he's burned so many calories from doing so much from moving so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really cool. Is that something that's in the original Flash story? Or
Flash has to eat all the time. That's just something he has to do because his body burns calories so fast. He pretty much constantly has to eat.
Okay. But and then I also mentioned briefly about how cool Gotham was in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to J.K. Simmons for as little screen time as he did have. I believed him as Commissioner Gordon.
Right, and also those pictures of him bulking up, that was definitely nothing to do with the movie,
I don't know why they bulked him up like that.
Well, I think he said he's just doing that for his own personal reasons, not for any role. But I thought everybody was thinking, I was like, oh, we're going to have a jacked Commissioner Gordon. He didn't look jacked. He was wearing that big old Commissioner Gordon jacket.
He looked like Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Which I will give this movie credit for one more thing.
What's up?
This is the closest I've felt to the DC animated universe version of Justice League in a long time.
Yes.
I actually was like, for the first part of the movie, I thought, okay, we're going to get more of this grim dark. Oh, goodness, here we go. But then the movie did something, and then I was like, watch the movie. I'm like, wow. If you were to animate this, it'd be the same thing.
Right.
And I was digging that aspect of it, that it felt like the Justice League I remember all the way back from Batman the Animated Series to the final episode of Justice League Unlimited. That whole run from that show to that show was, to me, the perfect Justice League story. It started with Batman, Superman was introduced, then you had everything else that was introduced in between there, and then you had Batman Beyond and Static Shock and all that, which was all still connected, and then you had Justice League Unlimited that tied all of this packed story together, and then ended it with an homage to the very first scene of Batman the Animated Series. I thought it was beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And then you still had, and even with all of that, you still had your sad moments, you had your happy moments, you had your funny moments. Like there were scenes on the Watchtower where they would just sit and talk, and it would be hilarious. Like Batman having lunch with Green Lantern was the funniest thing on that show one time, because he was talking about Green Lantern's relationships with Hawkgirl and Tigra, and then they told Batman needs to go out with somebody. He's like, she said, "Baby, what about you and Wonder Woman?" And Batman was talking about all the reasons why he couldn't date Wonder Woman.
Right.
And then he stops and goes, She's standing right behind me, isn't she? And it was like, for a second there, it was like, we are not in the Watchtower. This is the school cafeteria. But it's just Batman and Green Lantern talking like this. And it was pretty funny. And I feel like this brought me some of that.
Yeah.
So that's a positive.
Yeah. So, I think that's good enough to go
for now.
For now, yeah, because I'm really ready to go into the spoilers and talk about this movie.
So, what's your score for right now?
So, for my score for this movie, I am going to go 7.9 out of 10.
Oh, we're doing 0.9s? I thought we just did half points.
I would normally do just half points, but it's a little better than 75%, but not quite at B- level yet.
I'll have to. I see your 7.9, but I just have to give it a smooth 7.
A smooth 7.
Just a smooth 7.
Wow.
Steppenwolf.
So you're a little younger, a little lower than me. Okay.
Yeah, Steppenwolf really didn't do nothing for me. He was just your generic villain who did nothing. And they did the one job and they didn't even do the one job his character was supposed to do. Lead to the bigger threat.
Okay. Yeah.
He was just there to just cause trouble for 2 hours and then leave.
So I'm probably grading this on a curve. That might be what it is.
You're grading it on the curve that this actually is the first DC movie you didn't leave upset.
Well, besides Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was a solid B+ for me.
I'll give Wonder Woman like an 8.5.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, 7.9 I felt like is fair. And 7 is understandable, especially if you're a DC fan like you are. I'm a DC fan too, but not quite to the level you are.
Yeah, I like DC in certain aspects of them, and these movies are slowly getting to the aspects of DC I like.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to when we will be moving away, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have a very clean shift away from the Snyderverse, and I will be fine with that.
Yeah.
No offense to Zack Snyder.
Yeah, Dan Snyder owns the Redskins.
Yes. To Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
No offense to Zack Snyder. He put himself in a hole.
He dug himself a hole and he couldn't
like
Viola Davis said, it's a Suicide Squad. We threw the movie in the hole and we forgot the hole.
Yes. So this was a good way. This was a good shift out of that hole, and now we'll hopefully be completely out of the hole with these next couple movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our review for the Justice League, guys. Due to the runtime of this episode and the lack of audience participation, we will go ahead and call this an episode.
We'll call it a night.
We will go ahead right after this. We're going to do our spoiler review. I guess we'll probably just do it live. We're going to have it in the title and stuff that it's going to be a spoiler review. So if you were watching this live and want to go ahead and just wait a few seconds, we'll have it updated to where it's a spoiler review, and we'll go ahead and talk in depth about
Justice League.
Yes. So we thank you guys. I am the host, Walker Cheatham. I think we actually forgot to say this at the beginning of the episode. I don't think we did this.
No.
I'm the host, Walker Cheatham. With me, I have
EJ Flemming.
Guys, you can find us all on our social media. The links are in the description. We don't need to tell you where we are. We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
So, guys, this is the Movie Champs. He's with the Geek Champs. So we will have some videos up sometime, maybe early December for Geek Champs. We'll start trying to launch that channel up a little bit.
Patreon.com/moviechamps.
Yes, support our Patreon. Patreon.com/moviechamps. That's link is also in the description. So guys, if you haven't already, like and subscribe this. Leave us some.
But before you do that, Zach will kill us if we don't mention Horror Champs at all.
Yes. Also check out Horror Champs, or whenever they do.
He watches a lot of horror movies. He knows how to kill us brutally. So
yes.
If we don't name drop his channel, there will be no Movie Champs because we're going to be in holes ourselves.
Guys, subscribe. There's no, obviously when you get there you won't see a lot of content there yet, but subscribe for whenever there is content, because that's going to be epic. He's
working hard on getting the stuff together. It's just work's getting in the way.
Yes, he's got a lot of work stuff. He's got a lot of daddy stuff. He's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, he's the only one with kids, so we got to cut him a lot of slack.
A whole lot of slack. He's got a 1-year-old.
He's got a lot to deal with. So if he's not working on that right away, that is why.
Right. So, guys, thank you for watching. Remember, like I said, like and subscribe. If you can, leave us some share the video. Also, leave some comments. Let us know what your opinions on these things are. That's one of the big parts of why I wanted to start this Movie Champ stuff, is to have discussions.
Hear what people have to say about it.
I love to hear other people's opinions about things. I like to have my mind
open to new things.
So let us know some stuff. Don't leave any spoilers in this video, though. Watch the spoiler review and leave spoilers in that one.
Yeah. Spoilers is going into the spoiler review.
So yeah. So anyway, like I said, just leave some feedback, guys. Thank you.
And good night.
And yes, good night. If I can get to